Welcome everyone. Welcome, brother. How's it going? How are you?
It's it's going good, all things considering. We were just chatting before we hit record, and like I even kind of like stopped our conversation. I was like, no, we need to hit record because like this is so applicable. I think, the conversation today is like steering kind of away from I think our original intention from the last podcast and what we were going to talk about today, but like I think this is really important to talk about like
Mm,
what's alive right now, and
yeah.
this idea and concept around creating boundaries within your life, and boundaries
Mm,
not only with people but also like with yourself,
yeah.
and what you do and don't have the capacity to do in a singular day or in a week or in a month, or whatever the schedule is calling for at the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I really loved when we jumped in and you started talking about your hike
Yeah.
and you were sharing your experience. I would love also for the listeners that they can take part of this beautiful experience of yours, and maybe we can start from there and then unroll everything that has to do with boundaries
Hmm.
and literally also having time for yourself, for your body,
Yeah.
for your soul and
Yeah.
mind.
Well, and like, two podcast episodes ago, I talked about going on a 20-mile solo hike,
Yeah.
which didn't happen. It ended up
Mm.
not happening because I didn't have the capacity within my schedule. I had so many things come up that I needed to do that I was like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice this trip because there's just other life responsibilities that came in.
Mm. Mm.
That trip was supposed to be in preparation for the trip that I took this last weekend, where I was going to be hiking almost 20 miles in a single day.
Mm.
So it
Mm.
was like I wanted to be able to prepare for this hike by taking that same distance, similar elevation gains and descents,
Yeah.
but breaking it apart in 2 days to kind of like get my body acclimated to doing a distance that I've never
Absolutely.
done before.
Yeah.
This trip I've been planning with a buddy for a really long time. There's this beautiful, beautiful area of Washington State that's called the
Mm.
Enchantments.
Mm.
And it's rightfully called the Enchantments because it literally felt like every bend in the trail was just like, wow, like, is this real life? Like, where did we just get transported to? Because it doesn't seem like the world should just be this beautiful, you
Yeah.
know? And so like in preparation, we had initially planned to hit the trailhead,
Mm.
5 o'clock Saturday morning. We were hoping to get off the trail by like 8 or 9 o'clock. And the plan was to try and get there as quickly as we can. We were going to camp near the trailhead the
Mm.
night before. The challenge with the enchantments is that there's only two ways that you can enjoy it. You can enjoy it by multi-daying it, but in order to multi-day it, you have to get a camping permit. And the only way you
Oh,
can get a camping permit is through a lottery system.
really?
And the lottery system is so hard to win. Just like the
Imagine.
regular money lottery. Like, the odds of winning a ticket are slim to none. There's people that
Yeah.
have been applying for over a decade and still haven't got it.
Mm. Mm.
So my
Wow.
buddy did this hike via a multi-day trip 12 years ago and has never gotten the lottery again since. And so it was like we really wanted to challenge ourselves. In August, we're going to be doing a multi-day 36-mile hike in the
Yeah.
Sierra Nevadas, where we'll be hiking a section of the John Muir Trail. So
Mhm.
the idea with this hike was like, again, prepping for this bigger hike that we're going to end up doing.
Yeah.
Well, my buddy couldn't get off work until like 6 o'clock Friday night. And I was like, dude, we're literally going to somewhere that is one of the most popular hikes in the state summer. Like, we're not going to find a camping site if we wait until that evening. So I was like, hey, I'll take the day off. I'll drive over there first thing in the morning. I'll get us a campsite and then you meet me. And
Mm.
I'm so glad that I did, because I got one of two only available campsites in this campground. And it just so happened the site that I got was at the very end. There was only one other campsite that kind of shared it with us, but they were covered by trees, so we didn't really see them.
Nice.
So it felt like we were all by ourselves. Well, so I had that whole day, 9 hours until he got there, by myself.
Nice.
No service. So I didn't have my phone to distract me. Granted, I probably spent like 2 hours taking like photos and videos and just kind of like doing my creator thing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I sat next to that river and just watched life go by. I had so many beautiful encounters with animals and insects and fish. And like I was telling you before we hit record, like I had this butterfly land on the back of my hand while I was setting up camp. And it literally hung out with me while I set up my tent. I set up my sleep system. I kind of got everything like set. And then I took a little video and I videoed the butterfly on my hand. And then I kind of showed my tent and like the view of the river. And I walked over to show a little bit more of the river, and the butterfly was still there. And it was like trail magic is already starting to happen.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful because like the big lesson that I got was like how important it is to have time with yourself.
Yeah.
To be able to observe the river of life, like literally watching this river go by while also watching the river within myself of like what thoughts and beliefs and stories could I let go of? Because like I was feeling super nervous for the hike. Like the inner critic in me was like, what are you doing, man? You've never done this amount of mileage and elevation gain and descent in a single day. Like what makes you think you can actually do this? So like I had that inner critic kind of like telling me all of these stories, and I was just like, it is what it is. I'll never know if I can do this unless I do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let, like, I'm here, I'm ready to go. I'm like packed and ready. I'm not going to let fear get in the way and stop me from doing this to see if it's possible. But I still had an exit plan. I still had this idea because the first 6 miles was the entire ascent of the entire almost 20 miles. So it's like 6 miles, almost a little over 5,000 feet of elevation gain in those 6 miles, 2,300 of which was in the very last mile, going up a pass called Asgard's Pass. And it was gnarly.
How much was your weight?
I had like probably about like 15, 16 pounds in my pack. Like we went super light because we're not packing the tent. We're not packing, our sleep systems or anything like that. But like I had a ton of food. I had some extra clothes just in case. I brought some just random extra things of like, what if I need it? Kind of those things, like basically throwing the extra weight in your pack that you don't really need to carry. But it's like, again, packing for fear, right? Like allowing fear to dictate what are you actually going to carry. So much of that stuff I didn't need to carry, but it was there just in case, because I had the thought in my mind, like, what if something happens and we need to like chill on the mountain, right? Like, so like I had my puffy, I had brought a poncho in case rain rolled through, like just trying to like be prepared.
Yeah.
But my idea was like, if we got to the top of Asgard's Pass and my body's like, I'm done, there's no way I'm going to be able to do another, what would have that been, 14 miles. Okay, well then we can come back down, and then it just ends up being a 12-mile hike instead of a almost 20-mile hike. Still a great hike, like still would have been awesome, but like that was my exit plan. And so we got up to the top of Asgard's Pass, and like the views are beautiful. Like we're greeted by some mountain goats that had some babies that like didn't give two shits that we were there. Like I literally was 10 feet from these goats because they were right on the side of the trail. And I was like, I can't really go around you guys. Like I have to just follow the trail and go through. So
didn't give a shit.
No, like didn't care. And so it was just like all of this magic was happening, and like we were both feeling really good at the top of the pass. We're like, yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep mashing through. And it just kept becoming more and more of like this beautiful experience. Like we met a ton of great groups of people that we were kind of like leapfrogging back and forth throughout the trail, because like we'd
Yeah.
get ahead of them and then we'd take a break, and then all of a sudden they'd get ahead of us and then they'd take a break, and we kept kind of like doing this thing back and forth. But the entire time, the thing that it kept coming up to me was like that inner critic kept getting quieter and quieter and quieter.
Mm.
The more present I got on the trail, the more I just was in the beauty and the majesty of my surroundings, spending
Mm.
time with one of my best friends, like kind of getting caught up, because, you know, like life, like this friend of mine used to live 3 doors down from me in the same condo building. Like we hung
Mm.
out every single day. We worked together for a couple of years. Like
Mm.
we used to spend so much time together. And then like now he lives like almost an hour and a half away. He's
Wow.
got I believe an almost 2 year old with another one on the way. And it's just like
Yep.
he works in the nursing system, and so
Mm.
it's like our
Mm.
schedules don't really align. So we maybe now see each other like once or twice a year, typically on these hikes. And so it's like being able to take this time and like
Mm.
really be in each other's company while also having times of silence where we didn't say anything. We're just kind of trekking on the trail, and like there'd be a few moments where he would stop and he would notice something that I didn't notice because I was so focused on
Mm.
just trying to get the miles in, and he'd be like, dude, come back here, look at this. And
Mm.
sometimes it would
Mm.
just be like a rock outcropping that looked like a turtle, or like a tree that was like, how did it grow like that? Where it's like twisted in one
Yeah.
way and then it twists back on its other way. And it's like, I'm sure that was probably from like snowfall and things like that, of like pushing in one direction, then it starts to grow the other
Mm.
direction. But like the, the big takeaway was that not only are our bodies more capable than what we give it credit
Mm.
for,
Mm.
but we also have to make sure that we're always creating space. And that kind of
Yeah.
leads us back to the conversation that we were talking about when we first
Mm.
jumped on the call of like, you know, you asked me how I'm doing. And I'm like, honestly, like I'm super stressed out.
Mm. Yeah.
Because the thing I didn't take into account, like I recorded the whole hike on my Sunto watch so that I could see like what was our true
Mm.
mileage, how much time did it take us, what was our ascent and descent, and like, you know, kind of nerding out on the analytics of the trail. But the one analytic that like blew me away was the recovery time.
Yeah.
120 hours. It said it would take me to recover from that hike. 5 full days.
Mm.
And yet I had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to hit the road by six, or I think I finally hit the road about 6:30 to make it back from Eastern Washington to Western Washington, to miss all of the weekend
Yeah.
traffic that ends up rolling through, but also because I had to be on the workshop for somatic, the 3-day workshop that we just ran at 10:30.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't create space within my schedule for the recovery of this trip. Instead, it was just
Mm.
like, okay, I'm going to go on this trip. I'm going to have some time to myself, and then I'm going to come back and just like hit right back to it. And
Yeah.
so, like, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we have the workshop. Yesterday, I had a client call after the workshop. Today, I have calls from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Tomorrow, I have calls from 10
Mm.
a.m. until 5:30 p.m. And it's just like, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had scheduled to do some work on our bus so we can get it ready to sell. And it's just like I realized
Mm.
I didn't make space for myself. I thought I
Yeah.
made space for myself by going on this trip, but I didn't actually make space for the recovery aspect, for how much
Mm.
of a toll.
Mm.
And like it's like I told you when we hopped on the call, like I've been
Mm.
struggling to wake up at my normal time because my body is just like, I'm still not recovered. I need more rest. So I've been sleeping in for an extra hour. So waking up at 7 instead of 6. And like all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'm losing an hour of the day that I would normally take to do my morning practice. And so like my
Mm.
morning practice is getting sacrificed. And it's just like, I'm sure many of the listeners are like, oh, this totally resonates because this is actually like what my life is like.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your story first. And I totally resonate with it. But I would just there was some things that I would love to circle back in that story that you shared, which I think is very beautiful to just digest that again. One thing that you said when you were alone at the river was how beautiful it was to be just by myself,
Yeah.
with myself, right? And how crazy actually that is, because you are always with yourself. You're always with yourself. The only thing that you are certain of is being with yourself, right? And still we have this feeling of not being with ourselves
Yeah.
most of the day. Most of the day we are playing a role to customize like relationships,
Mm-hmm.
like to customize also being in relation with other people, and we feel lost, like we feel losing ourselves because we are meshed up in this other energy.
Yeah.
And so we need to take a break, go completely out, like I mean being in the wilderness, being like taking yourself out of it is like literally the most radical thing, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like physically, like I need to go physically away to be by myself, that there are no influences that can affect my persona. Because when you are alone in nature, you're still in relation.
Yeah.
You're still in relation with the butterfly, you are in relation with the river, you are in relation with the forest. But this is a relation of your authentic self with life. And that feels nourishing, that feels balanced, that feels grounded.
Mm.
But being in a relation from your ego perspective, from maybe a persona you build it up, you create it, feels like energy drawing. So it's interesting why that is. And like when you said, okay, you did the hike, that also two things. Like one thing, you created space, you took yourself away so that your mind can be a little bit, um, have a break of being Adam, who is the somatic facilitator, who is the mentor, who is doing a workshop, who has client calls, but just being with your best body on the trail and just immerse yourself in this beauty and giving your mind a break.
Yeah.
Being very simple, but your body is working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're coming back to the somatic part, because maybe your mind is relaxed and has space. So you created space mentally, but physically you took space.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you took space. So that your body now, after this hike, needs space to recover. So, and if, again, this holistic view that we both, of course, share also in our work is like it's not working only on one side. It's not, you cannot just address it to the mind. Neither can you just address it to your body. You can't just lay in bed for weeks and then, yes, from your body you're very maybe relaxed, but your mind is going crazy
Right.
because it's just taking space. All the thoughts, all like not really having something to create, right? So this is interesting to see, like, what does that mean to take space or to gain space?
Mm.
If we are not addressing it in balance for the body and the mind, then one will suffer and it will create stress, because we have obligations,
Right. Yeah.
right? We have. I mean, I don't say like we have to take ourselves out, and please, for all the listeners, I don't criticize to have a persona. This is important. This is how we are acting in the world. This is how we are building relation. Just a question like, do you lose yourself in that? And that was also what we addressed in previous episodes of our podcast. Was like, if you create inner space, then you also didn't. You won't get lost in interacting with life, right? You always
Yeah.
have this space, this inner space, to evaluate, maybe also to yeah, to be in relation with that persona actually. So yeah, and I asked you a question before we hit record, and that was like, what was the reason why you didn't create space or allowed your body to have space for recovery, right? Because there's also probably a pattern that said like, no, I need to do that. I need to fix that.
Honestly, man, like this question is like triggering a somatic emotional response in me,
Mm,
because it's the realization that it's still the people pleaser still playing out,
mm, mm,
of like not wanting to disappoint people, of not wanting to say no
mm,
to amazing opportunities. Like being able to co-facilitate the workshop is an amazing opportunity.
mm. And by
Like,
the way, Adam got so much positive feedback. So to celebrate him, it's like for everyone who's listening who hasn't done a session with Adam, please do a session, do a somatic breathwork session with Adam. This is just magic.
thanks, brother. I mean, that, like, that was the thing. Like, day two, I got to hold space for 850 people in a session, like the
Yeah.
biggest session I've ever held. And the amount of feedback and response I received from that session filled me up, like, filled me up
Mm,
quite a bit. Like, it did really help to add fuel into my tank that was running on
mm,
fumes.
mm, mm,
And so, like, I don't regret doing the workshop.
mm,
I don't regret doing the hike in any way, shape, or form.
mm,
What I do regret is not having more mindfulness around my patterns that are wanting to play through,
mm,
and not creating enough space to have. Because, like, if I look back on it, was I fully on my game on that first day of the workshop? No.
mm,
No, I
mm,
wasn't. Which I'm thankful that we restructured the workshop so that the session didn't land on the first day. Instead, it landed on the second day. So I got to kind of just like be on,
mm,
open the call up with Nadim at the beginning and then say a few points at the end. But for the most
mm,
part, could just let Jaggers kind of do his thing.
mm,
And so, like, it was nice to just be able to be in the background and just be in the chats and answering in the Q&A section, and all
yeah.
of that, and then be able to fully show up on Monday to hold that session. And like, I
Mm,
at least scheduled Mondays, so like that was the only thing that I had to do. I didn't schedule anything else, so I had space afterwards to kind of just like be with the experience and let it move
yeah.
through. But the biggest lesson for me was also having to recognize that my body needs that space. And
Mm.
when I push my body to an extent of like, I could hardly walk by the time we got back to the
I
campground.
can
Like,
imagine. I can imagine.
we both got back to
Oh
the
man.
campground and we sat down at the picnic table and just kind of looked at each other and was like, I don't know about you, but like, I don't even have the energy to make dinner right now. And my buddy Scott was like, neither do I. Like, let's just pack up what we need to pack up and just go to bed. And he went to get up and was like, ooh, oh, there's my legs. Okay. Like, both of us just like feeling super tight, and
Mm,
just like the body taking the toll from, you know, 5,000 feet of elevation gain, 7,600 feet of descent, 19.9 miles. Like, it was a
yeah.
lot. And I would say for most people, it's probably a lot. And most people might
Mm,
even be like, there's no way I could possibly do that. I thought that same thing.
mm,
That's what my inner critic told me, was that I wasn't going to be able to do it.
mm, mm,
And I was able to prove to myself that not only could I do it, but I could do it well. I could do it without getting injured. I could do it and still be able to get up the next day and function and move and
mm,
do
mm.
what I needed to do. So it really was like proving that my body is actually way more capable than what I think it is.
The body is just a, a marvelous, marvelous
It is.
thing. It's just like unbelievable what the body can just. There goes my picture. What the body can do in difficult situation or very challenging situation. So I totally agree. This is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also like that session on Tuesday was also proof of what the body is capable of and
Yeah.
what the breath is capable of like people are relaying it. There was a lot of people who'd never experienced breathwork before, so
Mm.
it's like I went with a little bit more gentle playlist to kind of just like
Mm.
ease those first timers in. So many people saying like that was the most transformative experience of my life. I had no
Yeah.
idea my body was capable of what it was doing,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that I could feel the things that I hadn't felt since a child, wounds that they didn't even know existed, but
Mm.
now after seeing them and allowing it to move through their system and allowing themselves to cry and scream and shake and
Wow.
do what their body was asking them to do, that then created space for them to feel lighter, for them to feel more in
Mm.
tune with their body and their spirit and their purpose in life. Like, I don't know,
Mm.
like when I compare the experience of the magic on the trail and I compare the experience of the magic in a session, and it was like, magic does exist.
Mm.
It truly does. It might not
Mm.
look like abracadabra or Merlin casting a spell or Harry
Mm.
Potter or whatever, but like magic does exist
Mm.
if you can create space for it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Magic always happens in front of you if you are open enough to witness and to see it.
Yeah.
Like if you are willing to see it, you will always see magic in front of you, unfolding in front of you. And this is something that is deeply touching me, because I just had a conversation with a friend today about being curious and going with curiosity through life. Because if you are curious and not blocked through concepts, then magic can actually happen in front of you. Magic will happen in front of you because you're looking at life from this child perspective, which is like not trying to put things in boxes, not trying to name things, being there with the butterfly on your wrist, and just being there with this magic in front of you, instead of saying, "Oh, this is I don't know the English term from for the taxa for the butterflies, but um, you name the Latin name of the butterfly, right? Then you have a
Mm-hmm.
concept. So it is not allowing you to penetrate through your mind to witness that this is magic. This is this is pure energy that is reflecting back into your consciousness, filtered through sensors in your eyes that are creating a picture of this wonder with colors, with form, with shapes. And it is changing when you are moving the butterfly in the light. So, this is an invitation for everyone also to let go of these pre made concepts, or this notion of I want to understand everything. Maybe it's about not just about understanding, maybe it's just about witnessing and experiencing,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
There's a difference between understanding or experiencing. Yeah. Understanding is like this 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 active working to dissect things, to break things, to understand things, right? How is
Yeah.
this working?
Why is this butterfly even on my hand? Why is
Yeah,
it staying with
exactly.
me? Why is it not flying away? Like,
So it's the mind
yeah,
constantly. And so understanding is something that you have to do, but experiencing is just being with it. Just being, allowing life to flow through you, right?
yeah,
So I think this is beautiful. And another thing that I want to circle back on what you shared with, when you had this feeling of you want to also prove yourself that you're capable of doing the hike, right? And this is like again the masculine energy coming in and say like, I want to feel my masculine energy. I want to see if I can breach this challenge, if I can reach the goal that I set up for myself. Maybe in relation with my body, with your best friend, right? With this brother that is going with you on this hike. So it's a beautiful analogy again, also for our podcast about the brotherhood and about the masculine energy.
Yeah.
So to feel your body, and this is so important. I truly believe we are going through a renaissance of the somatic again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is on one hand beautiful that we do that. On the other side, it's also sad that we lost it. that we are in a time where the only thing that is really belonging to us is our body. And this is the only thing we come into life with. Everything else is just added to us, even thoughts, like even knowledge. Everything is just coming from outside. But this is the purest thing that we have that is belonging to us.
Yeah.
The only thing that belongs to us. And we lose contact with it.
Yeah.
And we lose connection with it. And we are just living in the logos. And then, if we have these experiences that we both have when we are hosting sessions in somatic breathwork, it becomes this unbelievable magical experience of, whoa, this was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
And it at one hand, it's also saddened me because it's like, wow, like we are so disconnected that just through breathing, and I put that in quotes, like just through breathing, we feel ourselves again, our wholeness again. This should ring the alarm bells in our collective. Like, wow, are we so disconnected?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
You know, hearing you say that, it makes me think of, and to like tune back into that day of spending 9 hours by myself. The biggest part of that is because I was out of service, I didn't have my phone or social media or anything to distract me from myself. And I think that's one of the big things. Like, so many people will spend time with themselves, but yet they're spending that time on social media or watching YouTube or reading a book or distracting themselves by doing things, when like that time by the river, I had no agenda. I had nothing to do, nothing I had to do, nowhere I had to be, no one I had to talk to or interact with. I literally was just with myself. And like, that is something I don't think a lot of us actually take the time to do. I would go as far as saying because many of us are actually afraid to be with ourselves and with our own thoughts.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, just like if you're in a thoughts, if you are spending like 24/7 with a voice that is constantly criticizing you, hell no. I don't
Yeah.
want to spend time with this freak. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you cannot escape. The only thing that you think that you can escape from is just to numb yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that again, like we all have this voice in us, and I mean, some it is more critical and some not, but in general, we have this inner voice, and I think there again, the practice of inner stillness, meditation, breath work, all of these are tools to separate yourself from identifying with this voice and just allowing this voice to be in the space with you. Like if you are alone in nature, the voice is still there. It's just tuned. The volume is tuned down. And I mean, yes, I mean, you do your practice for years, meditation practice. So for you, it's easier maybe also to just sit at the river and just be in stillness, right? Which is challenging. For the majority. And I think just to just to be with yourself, maybe just for not the proper hike, but just go out for a walk in nature
Mm-hmm.
already grounds you, already gives you a little bit more space to, yeah, to get a reconnection again with yourself, and yeah, with also with this voice, and this voice will change over time. This voice will change over time the more you are also in peace with yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I think this is very important to again highlight the importance of mindfulness and inner work, that are such important tools to utilize to create a deeper connection to yourself, and by that to have a connection also with life again, to
Right.
feel life again. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, this is why I'm doing this work. This is why you do this work. Um, and I think we see more and more people who are jumping on the train with us and say like, yeah, let's change that. Let's change, or not let's change, but let's come back. Let's remember. I think this is more a term that fits. Like, let's remember why we're here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we are not here to create so much chaos. Like, it's unbelievable how lost we got, and how destructive we are to ourselves, and through that to our environment. We're not feeling, we're not sensing, we're not experiencing life, we're not experiencing nature. We're scared of nature.
Mm.
How can we
Yeah.
be scared of nature? Like, this is so important to understand. You are not from nature.
You
You're
are
of
nature.
nature. You are nature.
Yeah.
Uh, this is such a mind twist that we think we came out of nature, and then now we have like this two separate things. There's nature, and I came out of nature. No, there's only nature.
Right.
There's no distinction between the butterfly and yourself. If you just zoom into the quantum to the quantum mechanic perspective, you cannot distinguish the butterfly from your atoms. It's
Yeah.
just energy. It's just everything is just there. It's just the interpretation of it, interpretation of the form. But anyway, so yeah, I think this is again very, very important to come back to inner space, and to feel like, okay, where in my life am I actually allowing space to happen?
Right.
Am I allowing myself mentally to have space? Am I allowing myself also from the somatic perspective of my body to rest? Do I rest well? You know? So I think this is important to distinguish. Not just rest your mind, not just hang out and, as you said, like watch TV
Yeah.
or be here on these devices constantly.
Doom
It
scrolling.
feels, yeah, it feels like you're rested, right? But you're not. Your mind is constantly working, constantly searching. Like, dumb scrolling is such a crazy thing if you just look, like, if you try to understand it from a neurological point of, because you are searching constantly for the next hit. You're just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, let's see, the next one is maybe better. Like, the next one is better. So you are active, active, active. Your mind is like going, 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 going. It's exhausting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Jagger's touches on in the workshop of like,
Mm.
doom scrolling is a form of numbing,
Yeah.
and numbing is an active process.
Mm.
The more you don't want to face the story that's in your head, or the more you don't want to face the emotions that you haven't let yourself feel, or the things that have happened in your life that you don't want to process because they're difficult or challenging or
Mm.
upsetting to think about. So here, I'm just going to mindlessly scroll. I'm going to look at somebody else's life. I'm going to see what somebody else is doing, and then I'm
Mm.
going to compare
Mm.
myself to that person's life, even though social media is just a highlight reel. I would go as
Mm.
far as saying the majority of creators out there don't actually share the entirety of their life and the entirety of the story. They just share even my stories when I got back from the
Mm,
hike, excuse me,
mm,
that like I shared the highlights of that hike because I didn't
mm,
record the hard parts. Partly because like on
mm.
some of the hard parts, my life was on the line. So I was focusing on the trail itself and not trying to capture the
Good.
moment. But it's like, how many times do we live life like we were talking about in the last podcast of like, is your definition of success based upon what the world is telling you success should look like?
Yeah.
Are you actually doing things in your life because you want to appear a certain way, or you want to seem like a certain person, or like you do certain things, or are you doing the things that you're doing because you actually want to do them?
Mm, mm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, my position around social media right now that I have.
Yeah.
I shared it also in my on Instagram that I'm really struggling with the fact. I mean, one thing is authenticity, but the other thing is also it is just plain connection. Like we are simulating connection, or we're pretending that we connect, but we are not connecting. We're not connecting because I just shared in on one of my reels, like when I'm recording a reel or when I'm recording content, then I'm talking into this camera here and pretending that I'm talking to you, but there's no one.
Right.
I'm just talking to a camera, right? So it's interesting from that perspective what is happening emotionally with me. Like where's the co-regulation happening now? Because when
Mm.
I'm now with you, although it's also camera, but I'm looking at you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're here. You are live here with me in this moment. So I can attune with you. And that's the difference. Because this is a natural relation that we are sharing. Our nervous systems are connecting with each other.
Yeah.
And this is where intimacy can happen. But if I'm just creating content, and I just to talk from my experience, I don't say like this is not a general assessment about social media and Instagram and Reels. This is where I'm really struggling with, is because I want to restore human connection. I want to be more on that train, on that path of helping to connect again, to reconnect with yourself, and by that also with the other. So I'm struggling with it, and I think it's never real. Although we call it real, but it's never real.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can't be real. It's just depriving us from our most powerful gift that we have. It's like you are taking all the superpowers from Superman away, and he just is, I don't know, is can is very fast in running. Maybe, I don't know. Name one thing that a human being can do, but without superpowers. This is how I feel when we are presenting ourselves in these devices. Like we're depriving ourselves. We are playing small. We are much bigger.
Mm.
We have a gift.
Yeah.
We have this superpower of emotional intelligence, and this is only working in relation with another being. Like I need another being to play out my superpower.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, just distracting a little bit away, but yeah. Another thing that I had, my mind is so interesting today. I'm listening to what you're sharing, and then pictures are popping up. And when you said like you were you were in these also dangerous situations where you luckily didn't put up your phone and record it because you had to focus. I was like, oh my gosh, you know about the selfie death? Like I think it's um, a lot's happening around like the Grand Canyon where people are just falling to death because they want to take a selfie
Oh my gosh.
themselves on the rim of the, and it's like, oh wow. So we came to that level of like, I want just to showcase something. I want to share maybe a moment which is not real because it's just a captured moment of a picture or a
Yeah.
reel.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you would do that with another person, like, hey, look how beautiful it is, you don't have to put yourself in danger because I'm there with you. I can
Right.
share it with you
Right.
in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that should give us a little bit to think about.
You know, it was interesting because when I got to the top of Asgard Pass, I looked around and it was busy. There was a lot of people
Mm.
doing this hike. And when I got to the top and looked around, everyone was on their phone.
Mm. Mm.
Everyone was taking photos or videos, whether it was of, the goat and her baby or of the beautiful mountainscape and all of the various different lakes.
Mm.
But it was like, how much are we focused on capturing what we're
Mm.
experiencing versus
Mm.
actually being with what we're experiencing?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like it also made me think, because there was a couple of like trail running groups that went by us,
Yeah.
and it was like, wow, you guys are running this thing. In the act of running, because you're trying to get this done as quickly as possible, how much of this are you actually missing?
Yeah.
Because you're rushing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like we were by far not the fastest group through hiking
Mm.
that day.
Mm. Mm.
But we sure as hell saw a lot and enjoyed a lot. We stopped
Mm.
4 different times to soak our feet in some of the various
Mm.
different lakes or like a little stream, and just kind of took our time and enjoyed it. Even like as we were hiking, we were 3.5 miles from the end, and
Mm.
we went by what we thought might be one of the last like streams rolling through. And I jokingly said to Scott, I was like, hey, what do you think about just like one final foot dip before we finish out? And like by this point in time, like the soles of my feet were sore, were very tender from just
Yeah.
we took 59,000 steps
Mm.
in that
Mm.
hike.
Gosh.
So it was like, and we both kind of looked at each other, and like I kind of said it as a joke, and like Scott said, he's like, I knew you kind of said it as a joke, but in the same thought when you said it, I was like, that's actually a really good idea. So we made the decision to stop for a half an
Yeah.
hour
Yeah.
and soaked our
Yeah.
feet. We filled up our water bottles again. We ate some food. And honestly, it was the best decision we could have made because we both felt
Mm.
super refreshed. It helped to take some of the tenderness out of our feet. And we actually started moving at a significantly faster clip, like half a mile an hour faster. And I know y'all, that
Mm.
probably doesn't sound like it's that much faster, but the difference
Mm.
between 2 miles an hour and 2.5 miles an hour when you're
Mm.
hiking almost 20 miles is actually quite a bit. And so making that decision to take a pause,
Mm.
create more space,
Mm.
actually allowed us to probably finish faster than had we not taken that pause and just pushed through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think like that was another big takeaway. There's been so many times in my life where I've just pushed through instead of taking a pause, and the pushing through actually made the thing
Always.
made the thing harder. As you can tell, I'm still not fully recovered. Brain is still not fully functioning 100%. But like, how often is it just something as simple as taking a break
Mm.
that will actually make things move easier
Mm.
and move faster and move more efficiently? Because if you're just
Yeah.
trying to push through when you're running on fumes, well, guess what? Fumes only last for so long.
Mm. Mm.
But if you can
Yeah.
pause, allow
Yeah.
yourself to recharge, allow yourself to gain a little bit more energy again,
Mm. Mm.
then you don't have to just push through. Instead, you get to just keep going and actually enjoy the process.
Exactly. And again, I mean, it sounds so obvious, right? It sounds so obvious, but we are all doing exactly the contrary. Why? Because we are conditioned in a society where taking breaks is again a sign of weakness or a sign of if you're in a competitive race, if you do a break, be sure that the other one is not taking it and is just
Yeah.
taking over, right? So we're constantly living in this fear of losing or of being in this rat race. Like if I'm stopping here, everything will break apart. Yeah, I have to. And I mean, if you grew up like that, if you grew up like that, if your parents are like the raw model for it, and you see your parents running around like like mice on steroids, and just working, and then you go to school, and it's just about working, and doing good grades, and you know, if this is the raw model of growing up, of course you end up like, what is a break, right? And what happens is then your body will take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah? Your mind will take a forceful break. This is what we call burnout. This is
Or
what we now call
or the
burnout.
body actually breaks.
Or the body breaks physically.
Yeah.
Exactly. So chronic illnesses. So we are living in times, and I think we can speak all, we all are experiencing. I think this is something that is collectively, at least in the Western world, where we all feel time is becoming like, it feels like my day is becoming shorter and shorter. Like I have not so much space anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right? It feels everything is like way more overwhelming. Like I have to deal with so many things at the same time because on one hand we have these beautiful gadgets and tools, and technology is wonderful, makes everything more efficient, but boy, these things are fast. These are fast, and we have to like we put ourselves through technology in an even faster red race now,
Mm.
because we have to cope with the pace of technology. And now AI is there.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Right? You can, this is like the end. Now we cannot cope anymore. Like we cannot win this race anymore. And I think this is so beautiful that you said is this, like, finding again this space within you. If it's through a hike, or if it's through just sit out in your garden, just be, take 5 minutes and just be with it, with your garden, be with the nature around you, just stare at the sky.
And put the phone
It's
on do
so,
not disturb.
put the phone away,
Yeah.
exactly, because you don't need the phone then. I think this is so, I'm, I'm still, I mean, we both grew up in a time where there were no phones, right? I mean,
Right.
when I was in my 20s, there were no phones. Like there were no smartphones.
Yeah.
We had like these Nokia.
Yeah, it's funny when you were talking about phones originally, I was like, oh man, I miss my Nokia 5900. Like that thing was
Exactly.
perfect. I could make
That,
calls, I could text message, and that's it.
and I refused at that time to have. I was one of the last ones in my group. It was at the time when I was at the university. Because the reason why I refused was, I said I don't want to be available all the time.
Mm,
I didn't saw the point of being available all the time, because everyone said like, yeah, but I can call you then, no matter where you are. I said like, yeah, but I don't want you to call me. I don't want you to find where I am. I just want to be by myself. And I remember the hikes that I, because you said like, and I have the same thought about fear again. Like, because I'm also preparing for a big hike, as I shared with
Yep.
you. Like, I
Yep.
want to go out for a week just by myself here in Sweden in the fjell. And I was like, oh should I bring my phone with me? I don't like, I have this notion of like, I don't want to take the phone with me because just to be by myself, I don't want to take pictures. But then, like, what if I'm getting lost? What if something happens at home and I'm not available anymore, right?
Yeah.
All of these things coming up. And then I was thinking about the time that I took hikes in my 20s just by myself, and there were no phones. And it was not a problem at all because I didn't have to think about it
Yeah.
because it was not there. And it was all fine, right? So it's interesting how that changed us, like in terms of like creating more fear. Like we have, and again, I don't want to sound too negative. Like it sounds like that this podcast is all about demonizing technology, but the contrary. I'm happy to have my phone. I'm happy to have my MacBook, and all of these things are great tools. But we have, again, with everything, to find balance,
Mm.
and first of all to get in connection, not just with the device, but first of all with the host of these devices, like with yourself.
Yeah.
Have connection with yourself, understand, experience, be with yourself, create inner space enough so that this thing is not taking control over you. This being said, I'm talking not from um, that I'm healed about it. I'm also dumb scrolling, and I'm also lost in it totally. Like everyone, like this is such a hard thing, but we have to be constantly in practice. It's the same like going to the gym. Is it training a muscle?
Hmm.
I truly believe in that.
Yeah.
Constantly, just step by step. Okay, today maybe I put an app where the first thing that it says like is be myself,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
just reminding me like, okay, when I put on the phone, it's like, oh, be myself. What does that mean like for me? Be myself. Okay, be myself. Okay, this. Thank you. So this is now a tool that helps me to reconnect, right? So we can use technology for good, but we can also use it for destruction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to like stem off of that, like, tech, I've got technology on my wrist with my Sunto watch, and I had GPS that was helping to guide us through
Yeah.
that whole trek. And there were three different places
Mm.
where we started to go in the wrong direction, and my watch beeped at me, and I looked at the map and I was like, "Oh, hey, we're supposed to go this way."
Mm.
And that, like, in the past, not having this, we would have kept going in the direction. My buddy Scott even told me some stories of where that happened to them, where they got several miles in the wrong direction, then had to backtrack just to go back down the other direction. And like, I can't imagine had that happened on that hike.
Oh
Like,
god.
by the time I got to the end of it, I was done, and I was ready
Yeah.
for it to be done. Like, it was just like the last 3 miles were just a trudge of just like, I can see the road off in the distance. I know it's
Yeah.
there, but it feels like it's not getting any closer with every
Yeah.
single step that I take. It was like that was the longest 3 miles of the entire trek. But I was very thankful to have the technology. Had another piece of technology, SATCOM device made by a
Mm.
company called Zolio. And it allowed
Mm.
me to be able to message my wife several times with a check in message that I'm okay. Here's my GPS
Mm.
location.
Mm.
So, just in
Nice.
case something happens, I
Yeah.
have an ability to not only communicate, but it's got an SOS button too. So, like, heaven
Mm.
forbid something happened, I can press that button and a friggin' helicopter is going to come get me. And like, I happily pay for the insurance, so that doesn't cost me anything, because I'm sure that would be a ridiculous bill if I had to. But like, this is like kind of finding that balance, but
Yeah.
like having these pieces of technology at my disposal actually allowed me to be more present in the moment on the hike and let
Mm.
go of some of those worries and fears,
Mm.
because I
Mm.
had solutions for those worries and fears in case they happened. And like, This makes me think
Mm,
back to an interview that I watched of Neil deGrasse Tyson years ago,
mm,
and he was
mm,
talking about why he never has a case or a screen protector on his phone.
mm,
And the guy interviewing him was just like, I can't understand that. That phone is $1,000 and yet you're
mm,
not protecting it. And he's like, well, from your current perspective, you think I need to protect it because you think I'm going to drop it.
mm,
I
mm,
don't put a case or a screen protector on it because I don't think I am ever going to drop it because I respect this device.
mm,
And he's like, when I'm using it, I use it with care. I
mm,
use it so that I'm focusing on only using it and not trying to multitask while I'm using it, which I can think to myself, it's like, okay, yeah, the majority of the times that I've dropped my phone has been because I've been multitasking. I haven't
yeah.
just been focusing on what I'm doing in that point. I'm trying to work on my phone and I'm trying to do other things. Then all of a sudden I fumble it and I drop it.
Mm, mm,
But I also, because I have a screen protector and because I have a case on it, I don't put as much thought into, well, what happens if I
yep.
drop it? Because if I drop it, I know it's going to be protected. So I'm not really worried about it. So it's like, how often are we adding things to our life that actually
Mm,
overcomplicates, that takes resources, instead of
mm,
just putting more intention behind what we're doing moment to moment and how we're
ooh,
doing things moment to moment? And are we respecting the things that we're using and
mm.
working with, or are we just taking advantage of them?
Ooh, now you're opening a door. That is that is a deep, deep rabbit hole, and we go there. Like, I mean, this is beautiful, absolutely. And I mean, just to think about how we created our lives in these modern times. Like, if you take all like insurances, everything that is like giving you the feeling of protection, yeah, robs you actually from being really present with the situation, the circumstance of life.
Yeah.
Because you're protected, right? You're not protected, but you have the belief that you're protected. You think you're safe. Like, our minds are so unbelievable, like so wonderful. Because for the mind just to believe things, it's like signaling the body is reality. The body cannot distinguish. The mind can, but not the body. So if the mind thinks like, I believe I'm safe, then the body thinks, oh, okay, you're safe. It's fine, and just relaxes. Yeah. But what we need this activation. We need this sympathetic activation to be focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to stay, and I mean, we teach that in the somatic. So just being all the time in the parasympathetic, this is also a way of numbing yourself,
100%.
right? So sometimes it's actually needed to feel the challenge, to feel the fear, because it makes you awake.
Yeah.
And coming to our shared story now with your story about the hike and the devices. I know we both, you read the book. I'm about to read it now. I'm just delving into Bill Plotkin's Soulcraft,
Mm-hmm.
where he exactly pinpoints that. Where he said like this initiation process where you're going out into the wild, into the wilderness without protection,
Mm-hmm.
with this fear in you, because the fear is important. That's the initiation part. This is where you're learning. This is where all your senses are sharp. I mean, he shared in one chapter about this indigenous um, tribes where the teenagers had to go on
Oh
this
yeah, the tribe in Africa. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like the the tribe knew that some of them will not come back,
Yep.
and they were okay with it
Yep.
because it's better that they experience these harsh and very wild environment by themselves and go through the fear, challenge the fear, and when they come back, they are fully integrated. They know who they are. They know what they can do. Instead of everyone is coming back, even the ones who just maybe didn't attend the challenge, right? Didn't make it through the challenge, but we're protected. It's hard for me. Like, I'm a father, so I don't want to lose my son in this. But on the other side, it's like, again, like this natural selection kind of
Yep.
topic about survival of the fittest, and yes, I mean, I don't want to claim that we should come back into these kind of very archaic times, because we, of course, also develop, and our mind develops, and society develops. But there is a truth in that we are still biological beings. We are still nature, and nature has her rules, right? So I feel this disconnection is also because we are neglecting that. We are not accepting it. We are not accepting what we are. We want to be different because our minds are creating worlds that are way, way different than the nature.
Yeah.
Our minds are just unbelievable tools of creation, creations of universes. We are creators in our mind. And I don't know, I mean, this is just me thumbing through a thought right now about what, like, this somatic, this innate intelligence in us, which is nature, versus the mind that is separate from it, because it can separate itself from it. It can wander, it can time travel, it can create what we have here, these things, creating AI.
You know, the thought that just came to me as you said that was like, because we were talking about, you know, like insurance and things like that, and
Mm.
you know, the case on the phone and whatnot. Like, that's almost like what the mind is for the body, right?
Mm.
It's like the mind is this thing that is constantly analyzing, constantly looking at what are all of the possibilities and what are all the different ways that I can help protect the body from these possibilities, instead of just focusing on what is happening in the moment and not wasting any energy worrying about something that is happening outside of the moment.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
the reality is, like, what happened 5 minutes ago doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
What's about to happen in 5 minutes also doesn't exist because it hasn't happened yet. You know,
Exactly.
there's of course the argument of like the Akashic records, and like everything that has ever happened, will ever happen, is all accessible in that space. But like, we won't dive there on this podcast because that's a whole different rabbit hole. But like, from our actual perceived existence of right now,
Mm. Mm.
staying in the now, you know, just like your beautiful picture of Ram Dass in the background of like,
Yeah.
be here now. That
Mm.
was his teaching,
Mm.
to just be here now. Nothing else
Yeah.
exists. Nothing else matters except what's
Mm.
happening right now. And like, you know, it's interesting, like getting on this call, I was feeling super stressed. Now I'm feeling like really grounded in the moment, because like we're
Mm.
creating this like intimate connection with one another by being present in the moment and the conversation now. I'm not worried about the call
Exactly.
that's coming after this. I'm not worried about the calls that are happening tomorrow. I'm not worrying what I'm going to have to do on Friday, because you know what? It's not here yet.
Exactly.
So why take away this valuable connection by
Mm.
worrying about things that are going to happen in a few moments?
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Because
Because we identify.
yeah, and not only am I robbing myself, but I'm robbing you too.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. I was just thinking when you said that, what came through my mind was, I mean, the mind is a beautiful tool.
Mm.
It is a tool that actually created, like, Homo sapiens evolutionary advantage for all other species was the mind. this cognitive ability to process and analyze information that we receive. And that was the case why this developed. Like, it was an evolutionary advantage. Yeah. So if something happened to me, let's say the saber-toothed tiger attacked my tribe, then instead of falling into the same pattern again and going exactly in the same direction where the saber-toothed tiger is, now the mind can like extract and can analyze, and it's like, maybe in the future, now it's traveling in time,
Mm-hmm.
in the future there will be again a saber-toothed tiger, and maybe we should avoid that path, we should go in the other direction. Boom, survived, right? So it's a tool to, and beautifully said, like it's a survival tool that helps us to survive. But we created the whole identification with it. We become the mind. Yeah. We
And
become this tool.
and
So it's
that's the biggest lie,
mm,
because we're not the mind.
exactly,
We're not the body.
exactly. Yeah,
We're beyond both of those things.
yeah, yeah.
And and you know, like this kind of brings us full circle back a little bit to, you know, when we were having the conversation around that like inner critic and that voice in your head
Mm,
that's always telling you things. Like, I heard recently, and I forget the resource of where it came from, but they were saying that one of the tools that helped her the most was to name the inner critic,
mm,
to create this persona around who the inner critic was, because it created this degree of separation.
yeah,
So when the
yeah.
inner critic's voice started coming in, and I'm just going to use, and no offense to anybody with this name, but Becky, because this was a
Mm,
woman, so she named her inner critic Becky. And it was
yeah,
like, okay, Becky, I hear you, but I don't want to listen to you right now. So go ahead and take a back seat and let me just work through this. And
yeah,
and, and
yeah.
it's like being able to have this inner dialogue with this voice, and in a
Mm,
way telling it to shut up. Like, that
yeah,
sometimes it's helpful, but many times
yeah.
it's not. Many times it's actually just going to make everything that we're doing that much more difficult, because that
Mm,
voice is also playing through all of our stories, all of our limiting beliefs, all of our traumas, all of our stresses, because it is doing what it's designed to do, just like the what you said with the saber-toothed tiger, and being like, okay, well,
yeah,
if we walk down this path, we might run into that saber-toothed cat again, so let's walk down this path instead, and maybe we'll be safe.
yeah,
In
yeah,
in that way, it's very beneficial, it's very helpful, that adds to evolution.
yeah,
But when
yeah.
you
And it should.
have this inner voice that's constantly telling you you're not good enough, or what you're doing isn't perfect enough, or you're not trying hard enough, or you should do more, or you're, you know, whatever it's telling you,
Mm,
is that
mm,
actually helping you to evolve into a better person? I don't
mm,
think so.
mm. Yeah, it's not helpful anymore, because I mean it was helpful maybe, and it's important to have also this harsh voice and inner critic in you when it's about surviving, right? I mean, absolutely, this voice should be hard on you. Like, if you are not listening, then you're dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, god damn, how stupid are you? Don't go there, right? Yes, but now we are like, we created such a safe environments, and now this inner voice is criticizing us about what the fuck did you talked about with your wife? This is so stupid. Or
Mm,
why did you say that? You're such a loser,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's really just like a self um, punishing
Yeah.
mechanism. It became this self punishing mechanism instead of like a survival alarm mechanism. And I love that with the name, because I also, with one of my clients, we had exactly the same thing about naming this inner critic, and she said like, it's the crazy old lady in the attic.
Yeah, yeah.
So the crazy old lady in the attic who's constantly like, "Meh, meh, 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 meh," you know. So it is very helpful to distinguish it now, because to create space, because if you have a voice and you are identifying with it, if you just constantly say to yourself, like, how stupid am I?
Mm,
I'm such a loser. I am. And you know how powerful the word I is.
right.
I am. Because this is actually what you are. It's just this I. But if you put then like, I am this, I am that, it changes your whole biology.
Yeah.
These are spells, right? These
There,
are spells
there's a reason
giving
it's
to
called
yourself.
spelling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's power in words. And if you are cursing yourself and give yourself constant spells, then you will change your biology. You will change your whole persona into something very nasty,
Yeah.
something very. And again, I mean, this is something we all go through. We all have it. We all have this crazy old lady or old guy in the attic who is saying not so nice stuff to us. But the more we can differentiate from it and understand that this is not me, that this is a mechanism in my awareness, this is a
Hmm.
mechanism in this body that actually wants to protect me,
Yeah.
then I can create compassion. And as soon as I have compassion, everything softens.
Mm.
This is, again, for me personally, I'd love to share that. And I also, just looking at our time, we are going over. Compassion, and this is also why I have Ram Dass here, because he's one of both of our teachers. Having acceptance, loving awareness, being in compassion radically with yourself. Sounds like a paradox, but being radically compassionate with yourself. It's the most healing thing, the most profound thing that you can do to yourself,
Mm.
to be in connection. There's only you. So if you are not loving yourself, if you're not able to create compassion about yourself, how can you do that then with others?
Yeah.
How can you see the love? How can you see the world or life through a compassionate view? It's not possible. So it starts in here.
Yeah. It's one of the things one of Ram Dass's books. It's called Polishing the Mirror. And that's one of the
Mm.
things that he talks about is that like this inner work that we're doing and that we're helping people to do is polishing the mirror
Mm.
because we are all mirrors for one another.
Mm.
And
Beautiful.
if our mirror is dirty, how can we be a clear reflection for another person to see themselves in ourselves?
Mm.
So it's really like this inner work is all about clearing that mirror. So not only can others see themselves clearly through our expression, but if
Mm.
another has cleared their mirror, then we can see ourselves through their expression. And we can
Yeah.
see where we're maybe not being authentic because they're
Mm.
being truly authentic. We can
Mm.
see where maybe we're holding ourselves back or not doing the thing that we know we need to do through seeing another person do that thing. You know, it's like, again,
Mm.
another one of the titles of his books, Walking Each Other Home.
Mm. Mm.
Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all doing is we're helping each other to walk home to ourselves. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we're all a part of the same consciousness.
Exactly. Yeah. We are walking each other home. It's like we are all walking each other back to the oneness that
Yeah.
we are. And this again also to circle back to our analogy with not coming from nature, but being nature,
Right.
being this whole. So I think this is something that, and without now going into any spiritual rabbit hole, or maybe for some it sounds woo woo, but if you just really try to feel it, just to feel how connected you are with life and what life is in your body, just in your body, you will realize that there's no difference between what is happening in here and what's happening in another person. It's not the difference what happens in you, what's happening in this animal, in this plant. This is all life is just emerging from one. Even in my biology classes, started with a cell unfolding, creating different forms, becoming different species. But you can all bring back to one cell.
Yeah.
So just not to forget that. I think this is so important, just not to forget. We can be so captured by our mind. We can be so captured by our day-to-day life, but just zoom out and just think about it. We are beings, conscious beings, on a rock flying in the vast space of the universe. And just that is for me so unbelievable beautiful. Just to think about that. There's so much wonder, so much magic in that.
Yeah.
Of course I believe in magic. How can I be so ignorant and just say like I know I just figured everything out. I just know how it is. And no, I don't know. I don't know. It's okay. But I allow myself to experience it.
Yeah.
I allow myself to just absorb it. Just take it in. Everything. I mean, I think this is what life is about.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you touch on that idea that like everything came from a cell, right? And within our body, depending upon where you're doing your research or looking, we have anywhere from 30 to 70 trillion cells within our body. I don't know what the actual number is because I haven't actually been able to figure out truly, because some resources say one thing and other resources, but either way, it's a ridiculous amount of cells within our body.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
But if life all came from one singular cell, and we have an exponential number of cells within our body that are all listening to what we're saying to ourselves, they're all listening to directive on what we should do. And in a way, it's like if we're always telling ourselves that we're stupid, or that we're not worthy, or that we're unhealthy, or that, our body is broken, your cells are literally listening and being like, your wish is my command. And that's the directive that they're taking. So that's why it's like the importance of, and to, again, bring us kind of full circle back to those 9 hours that I spent by the river, where I was working through those stories that were coming up that were limiting beliefs on what I was capable of. And I was allowing them to just pass through, just like leaves floating through the river. Like I can witness that leaf. I can see it move. I can watch it go by. I'm not attached to it. I'm not reaching out and grabbing that leaf and being like, nope, this is mine. I'm not going to let it go. I'm just watching it pass by. That's exactly the same thing that we should do. And this is why meditation is so important. And meditation is not about not having thoughts. It's about learning to not become attached to the thoughts, attached to the emotions, attached to the sensations, but to just witness them, to watch them go by. And once they've gone by, to then watch the space, to then watch the next thought that comes and goes, and then space. And over time and practicing, that spaciousness becomes greater and the thoughts become less. But at least for me, and I've been practicing meditation on and off since 2009,
Mm.
I haven't gotten to the point where I don't have any thoughts come up in my practice anymore. Like, that's part of the human experience. But I have gotten
Absolutely.
to the point where I've become less attached to the thoughts
Mm.
and can instead compassionately witness some of those thoughts through
Mm.
the
Mm.
recognition of, like, oh, okay, this thought is actually coming from a wounded part of myself that needs some
Mm.
compassion right now.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and I just think, like, for listeners who are struggling with meditation and the meditation practice, and I'm not such a fan of calling it like a practice, or it always implies you have to do something, you have to prepare yourself for a goal,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then this belief of like meditation, as you said, like is about having no thoughts. What is inner stillness? Meditation is being with yourself.
yeah,
This is the most closest and most authentic thing that you can do with yourself, is just be with yourself. So just to take away all this mystical around meditation, is just be with yourself. Meditation is just sitting outside in the park and just looking at the trees,
yeah,
looking at the sky, looking at the conversation of some people that are having a conversation, but not listening to the conversation, but just witnessing, just experiencing it. It's about experiencing, being there with your senses, like being aware that you are sensing something, that you're experiencing, that you're feeling something. This is meditation. The more you are relearning being with yourself, with your authentic self, the more you become who you are,
yeah,
instead of framing it into this. And I understand, I mean, there's again positive and negatives as to all things. Like some people need a practice, need like, okay, and I have also, like in this corner, there's my meditation corner with a cushion, and I'm sitting there because I have a routine. This is something different. A routine helps me to ground me. It helps me to have my flow. This is also something that we human beings need. We need routines. If these routines are healthy, wonderful. It supports me. But again, meditation, you don't have to meditate for half an hour. Just sit there, be with yourself for 5 minutes. See if that works. Just be there
yeah,
and just do nothing. Stare at the wall, you know? Just don't, like, I love this thing about a Zen teacher who said, there's no I can't meditate. Yeah. I mean, you can sit now for 10 seconds just by yourself, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I can do that. 10 seconds. Yeah, see? Now you meditate for 10 seconds. Let's see if you can do tomorrow 20 seconds. This is how you can create more space in you. So this is just an encouragement for those of you who maybe have some resistance around meditation or some kind of mystical, spiritual approaches. Just take all of that away. Like, it doesn't need to be connected with any spiritual practice. It's just about being authentic with yourself and just rediscover what it means to be with yourself
yeah.
in peace.
I think that, like, a good description for meditation is just being fully present in this moment right now.
Yeah.
You know, because for me, for a long time, I thought meditation was sitting on the cushion, eyes closed,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
just like getting super into this like bliss state where I can be
Yeah.
beyond my thoughts, I can be beyond my worries. And like the more that I held on to that definition, the harder my practice became,
Mm.
because
Mm.
it was putting the pressure on the practice as if there was a final destination to get to,
Exactly. Yeah.
instead of it just being a ongoing process. And now I look at meditation as anything that can help you achieve a singular point of focus.
Yeah.
So, like a walk can be a meditation, gardening can be a meditation, riding a bike can be a meditation, a
Mm.
conversation can be a meditation. Like you could
Mm.
even consider this entire podcast as a moving meditation
Mm. Mm.
because we're just being
Absolutely.
here singular pointed focus on what it is that we're having conversation. And because we're staying in this singular present moment, that's what's allowing this conversation to continue because we are
Mm.
feeding into what wants to move through in the present moment
Mm.
without
Mm.
an objective, without a script, without anything telling us what we need to say, but instead allowing the moment to speak into the moment.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, exactly. And yes, but you have to allow yourself, you have to fully allow, like, I love that. I love that you also bring it, like a conversation can be a meditation because it's single focus on the moment. But it only works if you are in that moment.
Yes.
Like, and this is difficult sometimes because, like, how many times do you also witness, like witness yourself jumping with your thought into the future, like waiting for a moment where you can say
Mhm.
your thing or your argument, and by that you're not listening
Right.
what the other person is sharing. So this is something. This is a beautiful practice. Right? Now we're coming back to practices like this empathetic listening, to allow the person that you are in conversation with, that you're in relation in that moment, sharing that moment with, to fully invite their reality in you
Mm.
fully without neglecting, without trying to argue. You know, usually we are like, okay, this is your point, this is my point. Okay, and now I'm just waiting until you finished your point so I can try to convince you about my point. This is what we, most of the time, how we are doing conversation with each other,
Yeah.
right? But in empathetic listening, it's about being open fully to the other person's reality and inviting their reality completely into yours. And with a curious mind and an open heart, to feel like, or to discover, oh, this is your reality. Like, not being drawn away from your mind to what I want to say. Not like, oh, interesting. This is you. I want to learn more about you. And then you're asking questions, right? So this is then you are being in this one presence, and this can be very, very nourishing and very creating. Again, it's creating space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after this conversation, you feel like, oh, I feel spacious.
Yeah.
It's the same like being in meditation. Like, I feel spacious because I was just not allowing my mind to take off and like jumping
Mhm.
into time traveling.
It's that whole listening to understand instead of listening to respond.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
that it may not seem like a drastic difference, but the felt sense when you're having a conversation with someone and they're listening to understand what it is that you're trying to communicate, how
Mm.
that feels from that person, even when nothing is said, is very, very
Mm.
different than when you're having a conversation with somebody who's just waiting to respond to what you said.
Mm. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. And this is also something that we have to relearn. Like,
Yeah.
we have to really relearn what it means to be present with someone from an authentic place from yourself. And there's nothing more beautiful to be in presence with someone. And I remember when we first met physically in Austin, um, and we were sitting there in this retreat center in Texas and having a conversation. I was just looking at you and I was like, wow, it's so beautiful to be in presence with you.
Mm.
Because I knew, of course, from our conversations that we always also have through somatic, I know that you have space, and this is something that I really enjoy when I know also that a person has space, and then it's easier to connect. Yeah? And it is so wonderful. So when you find someone that is cultivating inner space, then it is so nourishing. It is just like this beautiful meditative state that you
Mhm.
can be in with another person.
Yeah.
And again, feeling this oneness. So this is an encouragement to everyone also listening or watching this podcast. Like maybe there's someone that you know, or maybe there is someone uh, in your circle of friends that where you feel like, oh, there's this person, he's very heart centered or very open. Just invite them for a coffee or for tea, and then just sit with them and just be in this moment together with this person. You will feel that. You will feel a very, very beautiful energy unfolding, a space unfolding, without you trying to dominate, without you trying to find an argument, or just being present and listening to this person. So, just never said that to you, but I was really, really grateful for meeting you and being in your presence. So that was really
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
too.
Thank you.
I mean, it's interesting, this idea of like when you can meet another person in the space that they have created within themselves,
Mm,
while you also have created space within yourselves, you actually
mm,
get to meet each other in this like unified space that has been created. And
mm,
from that spaciousness, it's incredible like what can flow through and how effortless conversation can be. And
mm,
also in that space, conversation very rarely revolves around surface level things.
mm. Yeah, just like
Yeah, yeah,
it allows to sink. Yeah,
right.
that's beautiful. Thank you, brother. Thank you again for the space
Yeah,
that we both allow to create here through this technology, but also through this connection that we both are cultivating. Also, we're cultivating this relationship, and I'm really grateful for that.
definitely
And
has
I
been a
think
very nourishing conversation.
I'm happy. I'm happy for you. Also, maybe your body feels a little bit more relaxed
Yes,
after that.
very much so. Very much so. I feel
Nice.
like I can tackle the rest of the day from a much more like grounded place than where I was.
Mm, amazing. And yeah, for all the listeners and who are watching here, I hope for everyone that this conversation also gave you a little bit more space or more clarity. And yeah, again, go out, just connect with this most beautiful thing that you have. And this is yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And if you'd like to stay in connection with us, make sure that you are following the podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Tune in with us on Instagram at Open Heart Brotherhood. That's where we post some of the clips from these episodes, but also where we'll be sharing more about some of the things that will be coming up. If the idea of being on a hike sounds like an interesting thing, that's something that Samir and I have been talking about, of creating
Mm.
a um, outdoor retreat where we can all within a small group go venture out into nature and take some moments to be in nourishing conversation with each other, while also taking moments to be in nourishing conversation with just ourselves and with nature and what wants to move through, and how can we find a deeper sense of presence within ourselves while allowing the
Mm.
spaciousness of nature to facilitate that.
Mm. Exactly. Beautifully said, brother. I'm looking very much forward to that. And yeah, maybe we can create a small group already. People who are interested, reach out. We would definitely love to do this beautiful hike together.
Yeah. Very much so.
Sending much love to everyone, and until next week.
We'll see you then.